Okay. Now these are, you hold these like this.
Between your fingers, like
Yeah,
that.
and on the outside of your hand.
Okay.
So that they won't feel like you're going to grasp them.
Do you want to hold one?
I got one.
Yeah,
just
really
like that.
still.
Yeah, still and quiet is what does it. These feeders are fun too because if you hold it up at eye level, you can see their tongues hitting.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And one of the wild things about this is that people can tell me how a hummingbird eating from their hand made them feel, but they can't tell me what happened. And that's because so much of what they do is so fast. And I always got to remind people, these are very wild creatures. They don't do what I say, so all I can do is suggest that you be as calm as possible, as still as possible, and they will see this because they're getting ready to really pack calories before sunset, because in the dark they can't see at all.
Interesting.
I am Max. Yeah, those are called Costa's hummingbirds. And they are southwestern birds. They're mating right now, so the colors are especially vibrant. And so is their aggression. You want to try holding two? They love your bright green shirt.
Oh, yeah.
each cycle of their wings is 1/80th of a second. And that's in line with their respirations and their heartbeat. Because the action of their wings is what inflates and deflates their lungs. And their heartbeat is at 80 beats a second also. And their blood circulates so quickly that it works like a gyroscope. And that's how they stay stable in flight. It's pretty astonishing. A lot of times, watching them, they'll do something, and by the time I realize what has happened, it'll be over.
And do you put the beads on these to sort of attract them? Is it...
It's a navigation aid.
Okay.
It's like the stamen in a flower.
Okay.
It lets them know that at the end of that, the nectar is there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, I need to buy more.
And where do they go to at night?
They go to the oak trees across the street because there's a pair of Cooper's hawks that nest there. And the Coopers don't hunt hummingbirds, but they hunt jays and
So it's safe for them.
mockingbirds and owls. Having the hummingbirds nest there for the Cooper's hawks is like having an open delivery account for dinner. And they post up at night in the pyracantha hedges because they like to, the base of the bricks and the tangle. It works like an early warning system in case anything's poking. And the black-chin hummingbirds nest in those because they figured out that human activity discourages their predators. And they're pretty convinced that this is a place of safety, at least from humans and other stuff. They're hummingbirds, so they'll fight over anything. Yeah, don't worry about the bees. They're just getting what they can. And the hummingbirds work around them. Yeah.
I think it's trying to get off.
Yeah. It's looking for little pieces of sugar because it's trying to get enough energy to go home. And what you're doing now will spill it,
Yeah.
and that'll attract more bees. Let's change those out because you don't want to be on the receiving end of the bee infestation. They're nuts for the sugar.
Like, keep it straight up. I like when it like looks right.
Another bee's on the way.
It's okay, just be still.
Oh. I can see their tongue.
It's like a little fan.
How crazy.
That looked like a minute ago. They're like two guys were trying to get this.
Yeah.
Like that. Hey, can you get away from my finger? I feel like the dude touching me is like I didn't even feel it. Just like,
It's not gonna bite you as long as you stay still.
Yeah. And even if a hummingbird collides with you at top speed, they only weigh like 14 grams, like less than a sugar cube.
or if the beak wasn't too sharp.
Look, there's one in the fountain. Oh, he's kind of watching himself.
Yeah.
No, they're taking a break.
How cute.
Because it's breeding season in the morning, I see a lot of the females, and they'll get on the very top of the fountain and use it like a bidet after they've laid eggs. And we're seeing,
They're so quick.
yeah, it's amazing.
I can move my head to the tail. Oh! Three bees. Oh yeah, bees away.
Yeah. And sometimes if the bird's really hungry, they'll like give the bee a nudge with their beak.
Like, get away.
But the bees know if they sting, they're going to die, and the hummingbirds know if they get stung, they're going to die, so they kind of try and keep things calm. Yeah,
Like a couple like
yeah, they're flicking the sugar off their tongue. Their tongues can extend out the length of their beak. And it's so long that when they have it retracted, it's coiled up behind their head. I'm keeping an eye out for, I've gotten some fire refugees from Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We have Anna's hummingbirds. And there's one right on cue. Okay. Well, he just took off.
What do they look like?
The Annas are like noticeably bigger than the Costas, and instead of purple, it's a bright red head.
Okay.
And then we also have Rufus hummingbirds here from the fires. Normally, I only see them on migration because they travel from Oaxaca at the very south of Mexico to Alaska.
Great. Hold still. Hold still.
And it'll stay like this for a little while longer, but starting around 5:20, there will be hundreds of them here.
Really?
And for the next several minutes, it will be wild.
Oh, yeah, I
Because
can.
it feels like there's more of them.
Yeah. The first things in the evening. The first wave was mostly females because a lot of them have active nests now. And so they start early.
And go back.
Yeah. And then when the swarm really, I just got them done. We call that a Palm Springs baptism.
Must be really small too.
Oh yeah. Well, sometimes when the weather's nice, I like to have my breakfast out with them. And I can testify that hummingbird poop makes Lucky Charms even more magically delicious.
Most likely probably here.
Yeah.
You redhead?
Okay, that is a black chicken. And it's a black chin peanut.
Oh. There's a big popcorn.
The black-chinned hummingbirds are sacred to the Calvillo people. Their origin story is that they followed hummingbirds to find Palm Springs. They were in the lower desert and saw hummingbirds, and if you see hummingbirds in the wild, you can know that there is safe water nearby because they are never far from it. And so they just followed the hummingbirds and they found all these marvelous little canyons with shade, waterfalls.
I'm wondering about that one up there that they like talked about.
Oh yeah. He's doing that to show everybody that if they make him angry and he decides to attack, he's got gravity on his side. Because these guys will and do hold a grudge.
See all the white chin marks.
White chin. Oh yeah.
So that is a Costas female. She has a little subtle streak of yellow down her green back and no markings on the front. Okay, you got a broadtail coming.
Is that what that one is? Right?
Yeah, with like the red square under the chin.
Yeah.
That's a broadtail.
Okay. Is that one of the LA refugees?
No, about
okay.
4 years ago, a group of broadtails that migrate south down the Sierra Nevadas after they crossed the Mojave, they hit Palm Springs and they said, we don't want to fly all the way to Venezuela from here. And so they just stayed. Sometimes it's a hook which can interfere with their being able to feed themselves, but usually it's just the end of their tongue sticking out a little bit. Yeah, that's tongue.
And why do some of them, when they're eating, they stop flapping their wings and others don't?
It's because the ones that eat mainly in the wild
Uh-huh.
don't perch to eat at the flowers
Okay.
because a flower only gives like one flick of the tongue or two
Uh-huh.
of the nectar, and most of them don't have convenient places to perch.
Okay.
Though the ones that are used to the feeders will perch because
Okay.
it's more efficient.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Hovering is the most taxing thing
Okay.
they do.
Got to put the water. Put the water.
Getting a little busier.
I feel like it's getting cold. You definitely notice more
Yeah.
than the chocolate cold air.
Some of the costumeos, the ones with the purple faces, are trying to start courting at the feeders. It's pretty wild. It'll look like they're fighting, but what they are doing is doing a vertical hover in front of the female while wagging their tail back and forth. And that's an impressive flying feat. And if that works, they go right in front of her. They go up about 80 feet and do a power dive right in front of her. Because, well, they want to show her that, you know, I'm a master of the air. I can do these power dives. And then the next thing is that they do ritual combat. Nobody's getting hurt, but she wants to know if he can fight, because being able to fight